What's going on, Bass-TEC fans? Time is here. It is our first interview for our 2020 Georgia Bass-TEC qualifiers. So I have been down here in this basement, getting this room all fixed up, getting ready for this interview. So thank y'all for tuning in tonight. And if you got questions, make sure during this live interview, we'll be interviewing Johnithan Combee and Lauren Robards. They fish with Five Alive Bass Club. So if you got questions tonight, make sure leave us a comment within the YouTube feed here. I'm able to take and monitor these comments and see them as they come in. We'll try to take breaks and pauses in between. So thank y'all for tuning in. And here we go, starting the show. Welcome, Johnithan, Lauren. We've got the points champions from Five Alive Bass Club qualifiers to the 2020 Georgia Bass-TEC. So congratulations to both of y'all for qualifying. Merry Christmas to y'all. Merry Christmas to everybody out there listening to us. So let's start off, Johnithan and Lauren. Yep. So let's start off and begin some questions with y'all. Tell us a little bit about what does electric only, for those that's watching that may not know, Georgia Bass-TEC stands for Total Electric Championship. We fish these North Georgia, South Georgia, Middle Georgia reservoir lakes that was built for water supply needs back 20, 30 years ago and have become very popular fishing. So Johnithan, Lauren, tell us a little bit about what does electric only fishing mean to you both, and explain kind of what got y'all started in it.
Well, for me, I guess it was I moved to Georgia back in the later part of 2014, and I kind of got into the dirt track scene with my pops, and then we happened to see a GON article with this almost 18-pound bass coming out of the BT Brown Reservoir, which happened to be 5 minutes from where we live. So, I mean, me and my pops, I've been fishing since he started taking me whenever I could wipe my own butt. So he was like, "Man, we gotta get us a rig to go fish out there." I was like, I'm up for that. And I guess that's where it started out at the BT Brown for me moving up from Florida. We went to and got a 15-foot tracker topper, and I guess it's all been downhill from there. Went out there, and I've probably logged 1,000 days on that lake now.
So mentioning BT Brown, somebody actually had left us a comment wanting to know if it was ever going to open back up. I seen some pictures on Facebook. It did open back up and had some drought issues. And
how big is actually shut down for about 5 months. It's roughly 350 acres. But yeah, it just opened up maybe 2 weeks ago. It opened back up. One of my buddies messaged me actually, and he was like, "Hey man, I just talked to the guys. They're opening the gate up today. This was a Thursday, and here and just absolutely wore him out. He caught 81 fish that day, and I was like, man, I'm going on Saturday." So I actually hooked up with my buddy TJ Spivey that fishes with Five Alive as well, who's also qualified for the TEC. But we went out there, and man, we had to leave early to go to festivities for Christmas, and it was like, how do you get away from these fish? I mean, every cast, you were getting a bite.
I love it whenever a lake closes down for a period of time and then it just opens back up and it's just lights out, fun.
Wide open, yeah. I actually I don't
So,
fish cold water very much because I'm from Florida. I've never got into the whole in the cold time. I'm in the woods hunting, you know.
so
So I mean,
can y'all expand maybe a little bit on that as far as you mentioned you're from Florida. Um, tell us a little bit about the transition from fishing, because I wasn't from Florida, but South Georgia is where I went to college. A lot of those lakes are, 8, 10 feet roughly, depth max.
right.
And it's a different style of fishing, totally. But
Oh,
how do you,
complete.
how do you see a comparison between maybe like that style of fishing, farm pond style, comparable to these reservoir lakes?
Well, I mean, down in Florida, you're fishing mats and lily pads and cattails, and here you're having to constantly look at your graph and fish points and channels, and I mean it's just like a whole nother ball game here where Florida you can almost sight fish by your surroundings, where here you got to look at your graph constantly to figure these lakes out.
Yeah, I actually just came back from Albany visiting family over the weekend and everything. And as I was driving around seeing all those farm ponds and stuff, I was just like, oh man, I'd love to get out there and fish. But I'm sitting there thinking with the
Right.
technology today, with the graphs and everything else, I mean, what are you really going to experience in 8 foot of water with a graph?
That's true.
When you can, rods are long enough, you can dip it in the water long enough and touch them. But these,
Yeah, that's how you tell the depth back in the day before the depth finders were good. Or if you
Mhm.
slid a little john boat into one of those farm ponds, or we called them irrigation ponds for the orange groves there. I mean, that's what they were.
Yep. Well, that's good. David Hammett, I don't know if you probably know him or not, said
Oh
congratulations
yeah.
again on the Team of the Year win. Good luck at the TEC to both of y'all.
He actually filled in for Lauren whenever she went on a cruise. He fished with me in one of the tournaments this season and ended up boating the big fish of the tournament. He's actually the one that caught 81 the other day, so he's probably ready to give me a knuckle sandwich for giving out the info on the BT Brown. Just FYI, we went back out there yesterday, and the fish aren't on fire anymore, so don't waste your time.
You sore mouthed them all.
It's amazing how fast fish can just transition and shut off. Like just
Oh yeah.
be complete feeding frenzy and just shut off. So, Lauren, tell me, you're from Florida as well. Do you do a lot of fishing back in Florida?
I'm from Georgia.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
I'm from
thought
here.
I got you. So, did you grow up fishing a lot, or?
I did with my dad and my grandfather,
Gotcha.
but it was mainly like farm ponds. We'd go to West Point every now and then, but that was like a luxury.
Gotcha. Well, that is awesome. So, one thing I want to mention, because I have seen it, and I want to mention it now before I wind up forgetting. I have seen it in all the pictures. Call me a troll if you want to. Seen it on Facebook with you, Johnithan. That your hat, you've always. I mean, I don't know about you, but I go through hats a lot. So you must have a lot of the Woo hats. Tell me a little bit about Woo.
It's actually the same hat. It's like wearing a lucky shirt when you go fishing. Every time you put it on, big fish just jump in the boat. I mean, it's actually referring back to Woo Tungsten, which we switched over to the Woo Shaky Heads this year, and we just,
And flipping weights.
I mean, every time you set the hook on one, you're catching the fish. It's not like I don't even I don't even know how to explain it. We went from missing fish last year on shaky heads to this year we're putting them in the boat. And like
Mark,
Lauren said, the flipping
yeah,
weights and the bullet weights, they actually have a non-chip weight that has a stamp on it with the weight size, so you don't have to sit there and fumble through trying to guess on which size weight you're trying to fish with there. It's really convenient.
that is convenient. That's awesome. So Lauren brought up a good point. This is something to kind of expand on a little bit more. Georgia has a vast difference of fisheries. We really, up here in the North Georgia region, we really do not have many lakes that we can go out and do any flipping. So obviously, y'all's lakes that y'all fish, y'all have a lot of grass
Oh yeah.
vegetation in them and everything like that. Hydrilla, lily pads, stuff like that.
That's what I grew up on, so it's kind of like my safety net now. That's what I'm used to.
I think that actually is what's drawn my interest so much into where the TEC is going to be this year at our Labor Creek. There's so much flooded timber that you can spend a week out there and only flip half of it. I mean, it's insane.
Yep. And that time of year too, I mean, it can post spawn fish. I mean, the event's going to
Oh
be in
yeah.
May. I mean,
We'll have
they'll be
one
in
tied
30,
on, I promise you that.
they'll be in 30 foot and they'll be in 6 inches of water.
I can't
So
wait.
our next question, this really centers a lot of our interview process that we talk about and discuss, and everybody's curious about with electric only fishing. Tell us a little bit about y'all's boat setup between your boat, your trolling motors, if you have an electric outboard, batteries, graph, the whole kit and caboodle.
I guess starting from the back, we haven't got into the electric outboard scene yet. We kind of got more of the country boy boat, I guess you could say. The give me some power tools and some material. We're gonna throw this thing together. We got a 15-foot tracker topper on the back. We got two 24-volt Cosway motors, which one of my buddies had found them online. They're only like $200. So we got two of those in the back with four of the Interstate 29 series batteries from Academy. So we got $800 pretty much tied up in the back of our boat, pushing the boat. In the front, we got the 12-volt, 45-pound thrust Minn Kota X3 and a Lowrance Elite 7 TI graph, which is paired with two batteries in the front. And then we got a smaller battery that we run our aerator on, which our live well is 110 quart cooler. I mean, it's like I said, we're country boy can't survive when it comes to our boat. We get
Wow.
passed out there by these guys running the electric outboards, but they hurry up and get to this spot, and we're out there running circles around them, spot hopping from there because they done burned up 50%, 75% of their battery life, getting to that first spot where we can go all day. I mean, we can run 10 miles on them 4 batteries.
So you mentioned you've got the 224 volts running at the transom, your 12 volt up front bow mount motor. When you're running, say at blast off or between holes, you predominantly leave your front trolling motor in the water, leave it out, take it out, steer with your back, steer with your front.
Oh yeah, all the motors stay down. We run anywhere from 4.8 to 5 miles an hour, and I have hot foots up front where all I got to do is flip a button and we're up to that 5 miles an hour in a snap of a finger. I mean, it's very convenient, especially if you're out there fishing in, say, summertime and fish are schooling, busting topwater just out of your reach. you can flip those switches, and before you know it, I mean, you're doubled up on schooling fish that are busting topwater.
He doesn't let me know when he's gonna do it, so I almost fly out of the boat every single time.
I give a hold on to your hat now. She's not telling the whole story.
Whatever.
Maybe you need to get her one of those hats as well to wear.
Oh yeah.
Instead, you may want to put like, say whoa instead of woo.
That's a good one.
So you said on your depth finder you had a Lowrance. What was the size on it?
7-inch TI, which we have the down scan, side scan, sonar, pretty much everything you need to fish one of these reservoirs. And once you start going up from there, you're in more this.
How long have you had that Lowrance?
I think this is our second season we've been fishing with it.
How critical do you feel like the technology is with fish finders today?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you can be traveling from point A to point B, and then you roll over a school of fish, and anybody that has knowledge on reading graphs is going to stop if you roll over a school of fish. I mean, of course, with the graphs nowadays, you can tell a difference in a school of crappie or whatnot. You'll see the crappie stack, which we see that. Of course, we keep rolling, but it definitely catches your eye.
Right.
And then finding the bait also. I mean, that's the key to fishing pretty much. Usually you find the bait, you find the fish.
Right. So you mentioned one thing. Everybody has it in every club that's out there in the state. Coolers are very convenient to install into boats, retrofitting these aluminum or fiberglass style boats that we fish out of. So one of the biggest key elements is keeping these fish alive. Tell me a little bit about your live well setup on your boat.
We got an aerator that as soon as it's filled up, it runs constantly. We got 3 big sponges that we put in there that actually calm the fish down, having something float over them on the surface. And we use Please Release Me or G-Juice. It's the Please Release Me is a little more convenient to us just because it's dry and you ain't got to worry about spilling it in your boat. You just sprinkle some in there and you're good to go. Of course, in the summertime, you don't have to, but it's beneficial to freeze water bottles to put in there to keep the water temperature down so the fish aren't stressed and end up belly up and you lose weight or points or whatnot when it comes time to put those fish on the scales.
We usually put a water bottle in about every hour.
That is really one of the biggest common things I've seen effective for fishing in our club style, putting in frozen 2-liter bottles. That way it really, I keep 2 or 3 in my boat during the warmer months and you keep changing them out as well.
Oh yeah.
So my mouse froze up, sorry. So Kevin Beatty had a question I want to kind of go back to. I think it's a good question to kind of bring up for our viewers to hear about. How long have you had the back trolling motors, and how do you like them?
We actually got them the beginning of the 2019 season, and we probably logged several hundred miles on them over this past year and haven't had any issues with them. Like I said, they were pretty much the cheapest 24 volt out there on the market and 86-pound thrust. The only thing I had to do was the bracket where it keeps your the tilt on the motor. I had to shove a bolt through there because there was so much torque that it would try and push back on it. But once I did that, I mean, we haven't had any issues at all out of our motors.
It's amazing how much improvising has went in. I remember back in the day when it was, predominantly Minn Kota, in the beginning days, everybody ran just a 40-pound thrust and then went up to 55. And then when I started going up to 24 volt, those plastic brackets that, back in the day, you'd run it, you kick it all wide open and it just fly out. Same thing. People improvise and make their own little makeshift brackets. So are those motors, are they brushless motors?
I'm sorry.
Somebody's hungry.
Guard dog.
Guard dog. I hear you. So are those trolling motors on the transom, are they brushless motors?
I believe so.
I know they're similar. And forgive me on it, I didn't catch exactly the name. They're not the Haas swings. They're the
Costway.
So if they're
it's
similar,
pretty much the same thing as a Minn Kota, but of half the cost, honestly.
Hence the name. So that's a good question, Kevin. Appreciate it. Make sure, folks, I want to reiterate this at this time again. Make sure, leave some comments in here. Like this video. That is the way that you're going to be entered in for a drawing. We'll be doing a drawing on Friday night, letting people know who actually wins the products that we're going to be giving away. So make sure interaction with this. That's your way that you get entered into the drawing. So let's move forward, jump into our next question. What are some pros and cons to fishing these electric only lakes? I know you kind of already discussed a little bit between Florida and Georgia's differences in fishing, but what's your take on it?
I think the pros are, as far as you can be out in a boat like we have and not have to worry about a guy flying by you at 70 miles an hour and rocking the boat with the wake. As far as cons go, I don't really know that, but you kind of game plan for where you're going because it takes a period of time to get there. So every time before a tournament, we come up with a plan as far as, if we go to point A that's on the lake, we got to keep the south side of the lake out of the equation if possible, because you're going to burn up a lot of fishing time only running 5 miles an hour to the other side of one of these bigger reservoirs.
I like plan B's too. He don't.
You're always the plan B. So let's hear it then. I mean, that's a prime example whenever it comes down to May 2020 and you get out there at hard labor and you choose to pick one of the different arms that's in that lake, you are pretty much committed to fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And Lauren's going to say it was
reservoir.
pocket. She's going to say it was pocket B. We should have went to I told you.
Yeah. That's how it always goes.
So, one of the things that, in my mind, when we was talking about the difference between Florida, Georgia style fishing, some pros and cons to different things, and I'm not as familiar with Five Alive, y'all's region that y'all fish in with these lakes, but BT Brown's one of them. I know y'all fish hard labor in y'all schedule. What's some of the other lakes that y'all fish?
Honestly, Five Alive's one of the only clubs that keeps it different, I guess you could say. We fish every year. We've swapped it up where we're not fishing the same lakes. We may fish, say, hard better than go further east or west, or I mean, it's constantly different lakes. You got countless lakes. This year we're fishing Juliet on the grass side, which we've never fished before. Stone Mountain, we've never fished before. Varner, we've never fished before. Goat Rock down below Lake Harding that we've never fished before. So it's buddy on there who's not just racing to that one popular spot that they have history on catching fish.
So bringing that up, that's kind of where I was going with that. A lot of those lakes that you mentioned, Stone Mountain, I've never been to Varner, so I really don't know. Hard Labor's got it. Juliet's got it, but differences for these lakes compared to the Florida style is most definitely probably one of the biggest things is depth. Do you consider yourself more to wanting to flip shallow between y'all two, or do y'all like fishing deep, open water structures, offshore?
It's more shallow is what we've been comfortable with. Honestly, I fished Juliet for the first time this year on the grass side and fell in love with it. I actually fished with Jeff Davidson because his partner Daniel had something going on with his boy in a sports game, and man, I fell in love with it. There's so many different types of grass out there that it just made me feel, but at the same, because you water coming off where the grass ends and edges the grass, it's just like a constant chess game here on what can work and what can't work.
That's right. So to kind of expand on that a little bit more, Jeff gave a little woo to you there in the beginning. Says with your upcoming 2020 season, you mentioned the lakes that you're fishing with Five Alive. Which one of those are, you kind of said it like Juliet, you're really looking forward maybe to fishing it the most, or which one's the least?
I'm gonna have to say Steel Brain is what we're looking for. That is it's got to be spring fed. It's a crystal clear lake, which reminds me of my favorite lake fishing back home, which was spring fed. I mean, I grew up wading around the banks watching 6-pounders walk around or swim around my legs while I'm walking, and then you go to Steel Branch and it's crystal clear water where you can see down and feet with huge bass just swimming. I feel like probably my favorite lake outside of BT Brown right now.
Same.
I got you. Same to you, Lauren.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, Bree West, I believe that's how you pronounce your last name, says, "Hey guys, so proud of both of you."
That's my best friend. Hey, I love you.
Yeah. Howard Shellnut, congratulations. So proud of you both.
Thank you.
So taking us to our next topics and discussion here, being that y'all are the second couples team that we've had in Georgia Bass-TEC. So right there, just saying that in advance, congratulations to y'all both, because I know I love fishing with my wife. I do not get out there on the water with her as much as I used to because kids growing up and all things in the world going on. So commend y'all for y'all's season. But what would y'all consider as a couple, y'all's strengths and maybe your weaknesses from each other fishing?
My weakness is waking up early.
Oh.
I don't know. I think that would honestly be the only weakness is having to wake up an extra 30 minutes early to rock her out of the bed, you know. But as far as pros, you don't have to worry about sharing the juice with anybody else. You keep it in the household. Once you find the fish, your baits, you're sharing baits. I mean, for Christmas, she's tickled to death to get crankbaits and whatnot stuffed in her stocking. So how can you argue with that? That's awesome.
So you saying that, so I assume you've got some crankbaits and different things in your stocking stuffers there this year?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The bad thing is too, we like to buy doubles of everything, so it's turned into like quadruples of everything.
All right. So you're saying crankbaits. One color. If you have one color to choose, what would it be?
Water clarity, I mean, plays a big role, but I'd have to say sexy shad.
Yep. Sexy shad is a catch-all. It can do it in dirty water, clean water, covers it all. I agree to that. That was kind of a loaded question. You got to have a bunch of different variables in between. So,
Oh yeah.
So one of your weaknesses is waking up in the morning. Tell us a little bit about. So I know this. Getting out there on the water, it always talks about happy wife, happy life. Who's the better fisherman between y'all? And give a good explanation to why.
I would have to say that I've logged thousands of more hours on the water. So I get out there, she's sleeping. We get out there, I feel a lot better with me with a shaky head or a finesse bait in her hand. It makes me feel comfortable because I get hollered at for being too fast. You know, I'm out there power fishing, trying to go, shaking a worm or fish. So it has its pros and its cons because if I'm trying to go and she's back there catching fish, I got to get off the motor. But at the same time,
That's right.
if I'm catching fish, she's got to switch up her strategy as well.
So you're saying that you're the better fisherman?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm the more, I've logged more hours on the water and I've had more experience.
If you would go in the evening, it would be a different story.
So, okay, you mentioned that. Do y'all fish night tournaments in y'all's club?
We have not, or I have not. I believe the year that we got into it back in, I want to say it was 2015 or 2016, they had a night tournament out at Highlands Marina that didn't turn out too well. So, forth with me more since then, but I wouldn't be opposed to having a pot tournament out somewhere at night, like a Big Laser WMA or somewhere that is open all night.
So that's the beauty that y'all got. The PFAs, public fishing areas, WMAs, that's in our regions. Really the only one probably up here in North Georgia's Rocky Mountain. They did not open up to doing night fishing. I know a lot of the other lakes that's surrounding in the state, within the state, that's got, they changed the hours, if I remember right. I think it was last year where they allow the nighttime fishing. So that's really cool. So let's hear from you, Lauren. You the better fisherman?
I mean, I don't know. I think so.
You're having always.
He used to go fish with all of his buddies, and like everybody that's married and everything isn't gonna want like another female in the boat. So I just have to learn from him. So I guess on a technicality, he's a better fisherman.
Hey, take a win where you can.
I know that's right.
So, moving into 2020, because here we are coming down the last couple of days here for 2019 season. Have y'all got any ideas for upgrades on your boat, for improvements, trolling motors, fish finder, anything like that y'all are wanting to do to upgrade on y'all's boat coming in 2020?
We're thinking about getting into the spot lock deal where you link your motor to your graph and click on a waypoint and it takes you there or holds you there. I mean, that's something huge that's new.
You looking at Minn Kota motor guides? Which Garmin's? Which one you looking at?
The motor guide pairs with the Lowrance, so that would be a better fit for us. I know a lot of the guys have a Humminbird, so of course they go with the Minn Kota.
The Lowrance Ghost it's out, man. That I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard a lot of amazing things.
Yeah. You got to have deep pockets to drop that on a John boat, though.
So here's my question, okay? Who's going to run the remote? You need to make sure Lauren
I find the fish, he catches them.
Yeah, but you may be going too fast. You may want to hit that little remote and stop.
Don't give her any ideas.
I got you. So Christy wound up saying, and forgive me on this, I don't probably understand the first part of it. She votes.
Puerto Rican.
Oh, Puerto Rican. I got you.
My stepdad's half Puerto Rican.
Oh, I
call him Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican. Awesome. That is awesome. All right, so we touched on it a minute ago, but what would y'all both feel like is the most critical element of your whole boat setup right now as you've got it?
The plug.
Okay.
No, the graph. The graph.
Well, let's back up to the plug. How many times have you forgotten the plug during 2019 season?
Actually, fishing our classic this year, Lauren was backing me in, and I had to stop her to hop out the boat because I had thought of it like, man, I had to pull that thing out the other day. Luckily, we've never put the boat in the water without the plug in it.
I have done it, and I had run a motor guide 80. No, I'm sorry. It was the 109 that we had, and I forgot the plug, was in a rush, fishing by myself, put it in, and as I got in the water and, it started, the transom starting to float up, and it hit me. I was like, oh, man, I forgot the plug. Put it in drive, romped it, and when I romped it, the whole boat come up, and it just literally, the transom of the trolling motor was just scraping around. It wound up messing it up and blowing up the motor, but yeah, that really is a great answer to the most critical part. Okay, here's the thing. You put your plug on the inside of the boat or on the outside of the boat?
The inside.
The inside. So many people have told me I do it on the outside, and so many people's like, you got to stop that. You go along the lake somewhere and hit a tree or a stump or something, it knocks it out.
Especially where the TEC's at. If you float up in some of that standing timber, you never know what might hook that little ring and pull that joker out. Then you're in for a bad day.
My problem is I've got so many batteries in the back, I don't know if I could get to the spot to put the plug in on the inside. I can get the plug into it faster on the outside. So
we actually have wood sitting in the back of the boat to elevate the batteries above the plug, as well as keep them from bouncing around to knock any rivets out or dent the boat or whatnot.
A smart idea. So you kind of mentioned about some of the lakes that y'all are looking forward to the most this year. Not looking forward to the most. What would y'all consider? And I think I can probably already know the answer just from the conversations I'm hearing from names getting dropped for lakes. What would you consider your favorite hometown lake?
Mine, I can't speak like a private residential lake, but for one that people know about, BT.
As far as Georgia lakes go, I'm gonna have to go with Steel Branch, just because of the clear water and feeling like home.
Clearwater is it's a challenge to fish. Once you learn it, though, it can be fun. It really can. Bringing that up when you're talking about Steel Branch, I'm not familiar with it. They got? Just largemouths in there, spotted bass.
They have the F1s were stocked in there, and they like to eat. There's a lot of shad in there.
So, any of the lakes that you fish on schedule? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say you got humps, points, rock piles. There's been several man-made brush piles sunk at sandy banks, rocky banks. It's got everything you could think of.
Cattails.
Some people hate it, the others love it.
So, the lakes that you fish, do any of them have spotted bass in them for y'all's Five Alive Club?
Yeah. We're actually fishing, oh, what's the name of that lake? Just past Juliet. It'll be the first time that we're fishing there this year. I want to say it starts with an L. I don't have the schedule in front of me, and I've never fished it before, but I heard that it takes 14 pounds in spots to win out there.
I assume it's got blue back herring in it.
I can't think of the name of it.
I'm gonna tell you, you get a lot of experience fishing for spotted bass.
No.
It can
Spots
be
will eat
fun.
pretty much anything you throw at them. They're really aggressive.
I mean, at West Point, that's really all you catch.
I agree with that. West Point. I remember first trip ever going there. I had a ball catching them. Sure did.
Find you a shoal marker and throw everything in the box, and you'll gain confidence in it.
Well, I'm not as familiar with that lake, and I don't know what time of the year that y'all are actually fishing that lake. But it just was spotted bass. If it's obviously post spawn, you can definitely ride around and just find them, and it can be lights out. It really can with spotted bass.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about the 2019 season. That y'all had an amazing year, received points champions through with Five Alive. What was one event or maybe one fish that y'all caught during this season of 2019 that was monumental for y'all to obtain the club championship of the year?
She might get a little big-headed from this one, but I'm going to say the tournament before the last one, she hung into a 3-pounder out at, what was that?
High Falls.
High Falls. Everybody was struggling. We fished half the turn. Finally, I was start running these banks with a fluke. Put 2 little stinkers in the boat. Then she turns around and catches a 3-pounder, which ended up being big fish of the tournament, which got us into the lead heading into the last tournament of the season. And that really just took a lot of weight off of our shoulders, and it was a turning point for us for sure.
Did you realize that, Lauren, whenever you caught it, that it was going to be changing y'all season?
Not really.
You just caught it.
Yeah, I was like, I hope everybody's on the struggle bus like we are.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. I assume it was a shaky head.
Was it?
See, that's okay. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, I don't know if y'all watched it last year when we did our Hooked Up Lives. And I'll put her on the spot. Donnie Boone's wife, Karen, she wound up catching it. And I was actually out there that day. She caught big fish of the year in their club with high voltage. And of course, she caught it on a shaky head. So that's the relevancy to why I was bringing that up about, consistency. That really pays off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can catch them year round on a shaky head.
Year round, you catch giants. It's not prejudiced in any ways. It'll catch them small, catch them big.
Yep.
So congrats on that catch. If your only choice for both of y'all was one bait to catch your big fish, okay? Say you already have a limit, and you've got to catch a big fish, a kicker fish for the tournament. What would it be, and why? And I'll throw in conditions. Say it's right now, cold weather. Let's say it's in the 40s and it's muddy and it's raining. What would you do?
I'm gonna pick up the blade bait, but she would pick up a jerk bait right now.
So, okay, I want to ask this. You said a blade bait. Are you talking about what type of blade bait? Are you talking about a spinner bait? Or are you talking about a blade jig, a chatterbait? A lot of blade baits.
Honestly, this is the first cold water, so I've gained a lot of confidence in original blade. I know there are Mikis and everything else out now, just getting into it. And one of my really good buddies, Jeff Souza, has introduced me to the Miki that he's been wearing them out on, and he just caught one close to 9 pounds. So they catch big fish. I mean, if you need a kicker fish, why not pick the blade bait up and put them in the boat?
Your phone actually broke up for a moment, just that way we can make sure we was real clear on it. You were saying the Demiki rig, but right before the Demiki rig, you was talking about, what was it called?
The Demiki Vault.
Demiki Vault.
The blade bait.
Gotcha. I haven't even seen that. I have not. So when I heard blade, I was physically thinking spinnerbait or the bladed jigs that you can, kind of like a rattle trap, but with no rattles to it, just a sheet metal.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Gotcha. Well, that's a great deal. So, Lauren, what would you be throwing for a kicker fish? Jerkbait, you said. Is there a color?
Like either blue or black. I forgot the name of it.
So I've got a question to ask just for curiosity on this. And I hate to put you on the spot, I really do, but bait casters, are you able to throw them as well?
Yeah. The only time I use an open face is for a fluke because I can only use my right hand.
So
it feels better.
Even when you're throwing shaky heads, you're throwing a bait caster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's vice versa for me. I throw a shaky head on an open face.
I used to be that way back when I used to predominantly throw shaky heads. That was all I done. My nephew had even bought me whenever me and my wife got married, bought a little bumper sticker. You've seen La Cream worms, their little bumper slogan. Oh, yeah. I love my worm. He wound up plastering that to my truck the night that we got married, me and my wife. So I actually just took it off about 5-10 years ago, or about 5 years ago, sorry. But I used to be the same way. I threw them on spin cast rods, and then I transitioned. I only have two spinning rods at most in my boat at any time, and they hardly ever come out and see daylight. So going into 2020, we've talked about your potential for boat improvements. Let's talk about y'all's fishing characters. Because everybody agrees to this. When we're out there fishing, we're trying to learn new techniques. Fish get accustomed to things. Everybody's trying to better themselves. Name one thing that y'all would like to improve on in going into 2020 season.
It would have to be offshore fishing, in my opinion. Find ourselves constantly going towards banks or points or finding humps, but I mean, it's got to be fishing a deep crankbait or going after those real big bites that we don't have yet.
Yeah.
When it comes to me, I want to throw a fluke, a czar, a spook. Coming from Florida, that's just what I've always known to catch big fish. Is the lakes aren't that deep, so you catch the big ones on top.
And I don't know if you noticed the video on it or not, but Decked Out John Boats had done their classic, I believe it was. And Daniel Nikolai and his partner, my mind's slipping right now. I can't remember Nikolai's partner's name, but I don't know if you've seen that or not, but they put a clinic on top water.
Oh yeah,
that was phenomenal. So
that was Jeff Davidson. He's actually one that got me into throwing the whopper plopper whenever I moved here. He kicked our butt one day. Whenever we first started fishing with 5 Alive, he showed up to a tournament and had 5 rods in the boat, and every one of them had a whopper plopper tied on it with different colors, and he won that tournament.
5 whopper ploppers. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So, Lauren, what about you? What would be one thing that if you could improve on going into 2020?
The same thing. Because, like, it'd be like we needed, like, crankbait fish all day long, and then my arm gets tired, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that, so I'll just pick up a shaky head. But I just need to be more consistent with it and just stay to it, which I really don't usually do.
Well, let's expand on that a little bit. Okay, you're saying, both of y'all are saying, cranking would be offshore is what you're thinking, correct? Trying to improve crankbait fishing on offshore structure. What would you feel like is a way to improve on that? Just kind of go through the steps. You're going out there, say it's post spawn right now. You're going out there and you want to figure out offshore. What's your step process?
We've honestly never done it before, so it'd be a learning process for us, just trial and error out there.
So my thought would be this. You said you've got the Lowrance side imaging. Whether or not, I don't know the body of waters that y'all fish. If people have community holes that people make brush piles, drop them off, or if there's existing rock piles that are there, ditches, creek channels, swing arms. When you talk about that lake that's got spotted bass, here's the thing with spotted bass, if there's, depending on the bait that's in the lake, spotted bass don't necessarily have to even relate to the structure. One of the lakes that we used to have as a hidden gem really is kind of a bare bottom lake, not much structure to it. But when you hear offshore fishing, that's the first thing you think of, okay? Somebody's got some structure somewhere that they're fishing. Sometimes it's not necessarily the case. It's also being able to ride around, let your fish finder tell you what is happening right there firsthand. Best day I ever had on the water, post spawn, offshore fishing. and I'll just be blunt and just come forward and say it, is now you can even buy a bite on it. So that's the reason why I'm saying it. We'd found fish, and I'm talking 3 to 5 pound average fish in schools, open water, cruising around, feeding on big bait. I'm talking about 8-inch, 6-inch size bait. And the flutter spoon was phenomenal. And I don't know if y'all throw that much or not, depending on the bait that's in the lake, how many fish are there, but there's ways you can fire up those schools. And when it happens, it's magic. It's about like what happened with Daniel Nicolai and then with that top water bite. I mean, it is magical.
Oh yeah.
So I hope to hear.
I seen where they were wearing them out that whole tournament too on top water. It was just there.
Yep. And I hope to whenever we get down there and fish the state event, maybe you can even see y'all do some offshore stuff and see y'all absolutely knock them out of the park. So we got a question that's come in from Roy. John is directed to Johnithan. What is your most memorable fishing experience? Most memorable.
Oh wow. That's I don't even know where to start there. There's been so many memories made in the past few years here. Just catching big fish in Georgia that, I mean, there's been so many memories made. I'd have to say probably this bass back behind me, the 10-pounder. Fished for 30 years trying to catch a 10-pounder, and one summer it happened to luck up with an old monster, and I was about to throw it back because my scales were reading 914, and Lauren said, "No, you need to weigh it on another set of scales."
Like the mechanical scale, like it's not battery operated.
And it ended up being 10 1/4. So,
man, that is
I was
awesome.
more excited than he was, though. I was like, oh my god.
So what about you, Laura? Would you kind of maybe direct that question to you as well? What would you say is your most memorable fishing experience?
It was probably all of the same lake. I've caught my biggest fish. It was probably like degrees outside, and it was so hot, and we were like ready to go, and then I ended up catching it at like 2 p.m.
Well, that is awesome. So, okay, and I don't know if you said you really haven't fished much for spotted bass for both of y'all. If you could target one species of bass, throw the whole tournament out of the window, just want to go after them. If you could target one species of bass, largemouth, spots, shoal bass, smallmouth, what would it be and why?
I would have to say probably a peacock bass, just because of the fight that they put on is in South Florida. Well, of course, in the States, South Florida, but it's just a whole nother ball game.
What would you say,
For
Lord?
Lord, it would probably be largemouth.
I don't know, peacocks look cool. I've always wanted to catch one, but I haven't been to South Florida fishing to do it.
I had some good friends of the family I grew up with, and they had actually went to South America, I believe it was, peacock bass fishing in the rivers, and the guy told me just straight up, he said, if there's anything in life that would be most memorable, it's going to the river systems, going into the boats. It's literally a large floating cabin cruiser boat that they, drive you in on, gas powered little small boat, and you're back out there on the water every single day fishing. He said it was the best week he's ever spent, and it's top water frenzy with those fish when they bite. So I would have to agree with that. Thank you for adding an extra species into that, because I definitely didn't think that far advanced.
That would be a Florida boy question there, or answer, I should say.
So other than yourselves, because we know when we see Laura with that shaky head in her hand, we got to make sure to watch out. Other than yourselves, which of the other 3 teams that's qualified for 5 Alive should we watch out for?
The other couple team, TJ and Crystal. If you ain't coming to the sounds against them, you better be fishing to the last possible minute, because they will show up and put a hurting on you quick.
Crystal's deadly with a wacky rig.
And that lake does good fishing a wacky rig.
Yeah, the first tournament of the season, I think they dropped almost 19 pounds on the scales on us.
Wow.
So it was a little bit of a wow factor there.
That'll crush you quick, won't it?
Oh, yeah.
It is so hard when people get that momentum going, just like you brought up about catching that 3-pounder. That little bit just boosts so much to just causing the rest of the season to go in a good direction.
Confidence is definitely key. If you got confidence, then there's nothing that can stop you but yourself from there.
Gotcha. So I kind of got just 2 more questions here to ask you. This one might be a little comical to ask, but after y'all compete in an event, everybody's out there fishing, does it, comes home. You being couples, it might be a little different. What are y'all doing after an event? Say you go fish, you're exhausted, dog tired. Is it a carry out, or is it we're going to go home and cook?
Cooking.
Mexican food.
Come home and let the dog out, then throw her in the car and head on up to the Mexican joint.
Gotcha. So I'll just ask you, because I ain't from around that area, but if I'm ever around there, what's your favorite Mexican restaurant around there to eat?
El Ranchero.
El Ranchero. Well, I got to ask it, what's y'all's favorite dish?
I get the California burrito, which is a mixture with like steak, chicken, and shrimp with the cheese sauce on it. You can't go wrong.
That's not El Ranchero. You get the burrito tapatio.
She knows.
He gets the burrito tapatio.
So it's got steak, chicken, and shrimp in the burrito?
Yeah, it's the bomb.
The burrito tapatio has beer
battered pork.
And pork.
Mexican restaurant. So I still don't know the names to them all from them. Everyone, I think I get something different from.
Right. But you're saying El Ranchero is about y'all's favorite one to eat at, though?
Yeah.
That is awesome. So that's kind of That's the same as myself. I don't get it every time just because it's so expensive, and my wife usually is really good to me and has something good to eat whenever I come home for the most part. Or if not, a couple times a year I'll stop. There's a barbecue place right down the road here. I get what's called a hogga chonga, and it's literally everything is in that thing, and then it's topped with Brunswick stew over the top. It's like a chimney, but
That sounds
the barbecue
amazing.
burger. So let's hear it. Final question. What are y'all's predictions going into the May 30th? I believe that's the date if I'm saying it correctly. May 30th, 2020 Georgia Bass-TEC. What is the winning weight going to be?
I'm going to have to say if you ain't got 25 pounds coming to the scales, then you might better keep fishing because Daniel and Jeff are a force out there. We're going to be fishing to the last possible minute against those guys. That's the high voltage.
Yep.
The
points champions for high voltage, Daniel Nicolai. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of respect for those guys.
I'll say 21.
21 pounds.
I'm saying
what do y'all
26.
Think,
I'll say 8.5.
Double digit.
Double digit in May.
It's the time.
I have seen it appears the past couple of months there's been some bigger fish coming out of there being caught. I think some 7-8. I think John Long, that fishes with Dixie, he had a big fish that was like nearly 8 pounds that came out of there for their last event.
Yeah, Daniel just caught one that was pushing 8, so I think it's that time when that lake's peaking out there. This should be the best year to fish that lake.
And that brings up a good point. I mean, hard labor being a fresh new reservoir that hadn't been open that very long to the public. They always say a lake has its peak period towards the beginning of the fishery's life cycle. So I know DNR is very adamant on managing that lake. So folks, if y'all have any questions, now's y'all's last opportunity to kind of leave us a comment, let us know. Just to briefly mention this, that way if anybody's confused with this, you won't necessarily have to leave a comment during the live feed. You can come back in here, the YouTube will be posted. You'll be able to go back into it, watch it, leave comments. So folks that's not able to take and watch the entire video, they're watching it outside of the live hour, then they can take and come on here and leave comments and still be entered in for the drawing. So make sure you like it, make sure you leave a comment. Do y'all have any questions for myself or anything going into this, being this y'all's first year into the Georgia Bass-TEC?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, how does the weigh-in process work? Do you get all the boats out of the water there, and then everybody comes to the scales with their bags, or is it by teams, or?
Good question. What we had done last year, we'll probably stick close to the same way of weigh system. We gave boat numbers to each individuals, kind of something that's on something they can carry with them during the day. When they come back in, they've got their boat number. We didn't necessarily line up people by place as far as, figuring out who had what weight. We did talk around and we'd found out 2 individuals. The first one's pretty close to the front of the pack, weighed in, had 18, 19 pounds. And then it come around towards the very end, we knew one of the teams had a 19+ pound bag. We didn't know if it hit 20, but we knew it had big. So we pushed him to the back of the crowd to try to make it a little bit more dramatic.
Nice.
It may or may not be the same way going into this event in May, but one of our sponsors, not for the live feeds, but for the event itself, which is actually our first committed sponsor for 2020, when we reached back out through with them, AccuCoal. They give us the mesh weigh-in bags. So what we'll do, once you come out of the water, and folks that's watching this can know this as well, this is anybody can come out to the event, watch the weigh-in, where we'll try to set up a live feed out there as well. Cell phone coverage is not that good, but come out, hard labor, watch the weigh-in. What we'll do is we'll hand everybody, the competitors, the mesh weigh-in bag as they come out, so that way they can have their fish. Once we get out, lined up, start to come in individually, come into the scales, we'll set up, and they pull up to the scales, hop out. There'll be some folks there kind of help direct you. You just walk around to the scales and weigh your fish, take them out of that mesh bag, put them right in there and weigh them, and then take them right back down to the water.
Nice.
So we may change up. We try to communicate between all the directors. We haven't had a conference call in quite a few weeks now, but probably over a month. But we got to sit back down, and it's getting that time. 2020 is here.
Excited.
So
I can't wait.
Johnathan, Lauren, I appreciate y'all taking time out of y'all's night, sitting down, letting the fans with Georgia Bass-TEC hear how y'all season had went, and hearing about y'all setup and a little bit about y'allselves. That way everybody can get to know you. And I look forward to meeting y'all both. I didn't qualify for the 20. Yep. I didn't qualify for the 2020 Georgia Bass-TEC, but I will be there helping out with the film crews, riding around. So I really will be out there watching that shaky head catch a big fish, probably on that offshore structure, because there's quite a few offshore structures on that lake. A lot, actually.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did have a question. Are cameras in boat, or is that a personal thing? Like if we have GoPros or something?
You said what was the question? The first part, it kind of broke up.
Do y'all put cameras in the boat with the teams, or is it like just if the team has their own GoPro?
So our partnership with Decked Out John Boats, we actually do not have access to the full field for being able to put in cameras on boats per se. Decked Out, I think, has a handful, probably about 6, 7, less than 10 action cameras that we may strategically place in different boats, and he'll probably do it however he would like to set it up, because we partner through with Decked Out, and they're the ones that does all the filming and stuff like that. So, which I'm planning on my GoPro that I normally have in my boat set up. No offense to anybody else, I'm gonna wind up probably putting it in one of our, more than likely, maybe our returning 2019 Georgia Bass-TEC, Chris Gayton and Mike Strickland's boats. That way they can have a recording. So
Nice. It
very well may be. And that's, we've tried. I tried last year for the 2019 event. I'm gonna still pursue it. I'd asked around to a few places this year, but I would like to enter into a partnership, sponsorship in the future to where all of our anglers have action cameras in their boats during the event. So Josh Thompson, he actually made a comment about the food. La Parrilla is better than El Ranchero, by the way. Laugh out loud.
Man.
And Josh Thompson also says, congratulations, guys and gal. And correct me if I'm right, if this is the right one, Josh Thompson is the president of Five Alive Bass Club.
Yes, sir.
So Josh, appreciate you leaving a comment for us there. Well, if there's no other comments, questions to be brought up, again, we thank y'all for taking time out of y'all's night and sitting down and being put in the hot seat. And no offense, I hope y'all get back in the hot seat again, sitting up there at the stage, because we had it last year. More than likely, it'll be set up the same way, to where there's going to be 2 chairs sitting right there at the scales, that we're going to put somebody in a hot seat that's going to be the leader until the very end.
Look forward to it. Hopefully we'll keep them warm.
Well, folks, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Johnathan, Lauren, thank y'all, and I'm going to conclude the show, okay?
All righty.
Thank you.
Look forward to see you in May, bud.
All righty. Y'all too. So, folks, there you have it. Five Alive's point champion, Johnathan and Lauren. Thank them for taking time out of their night and conducting the interview. But I'd like to take and thank our sponsors. Without them, these items that we are going to be giving away would not be possible without our sponsors. So I'd like to first thank Rejuvenate. They are a live well treatment system, additives that's added into your live wells that helps retain the fish health during tournament events. So we're going to be giving away some Rejuvenate live well treatment. We have the Dugout Bait and Tackle. I'd like to thank them for returning back to us during the 2020 Georgia Bass-TEC. We're going to be giving away some swag gear from the Dugout Bait and Tackle. If you have not stopped in, check out Dugout Bait and Tackle in Marietta, Georgia. You need to get down there, take a look at it. Craig and Jamie would love to see you down there. They have got all of your bait and tackle needs. G2 Gemini jerseys. I'd like to thank them for making this possible, sponsoring our YouTube. I'm so used to saying Facebook Live. Our YouTube Hooked Up Live interviews. All you have to do, if you're interested in obtaining a jersey, angler jerseys, or if not angler jerseys, maybe you're in the market for some other kind of jerseys. All you have to do, once you get onto G2 Gemini's website and you start to place your order, you can receive 25% off each piece of apparel. Regular artwork and shipping and handling fees will also apply. But all you have to do is enter in G2 Georgia 20. Again, that is G2 Georgia 20, and you will receive 25% off of any apparels. So we thank G2 Gemini Jerseys for making this possible. Our first sponsor that committed to our Hooked Up Live interviews, we'd like to thank Line Taming Serum. They gladly returned back to us, and I'm going to tell you, just like what I've said in the beginning, could not be happier with their product that they provide. They have many different things, but we're going to be giving away free bottles of Line Taming Serum. It helps keep that memory. Everybody's used to it. When you get out there and you make a cast and it starts to spool off, catches up, and that memory on that line's retaining too much, all you have to do is add some of the Line Taming Serum onto your reel. Amazing what this product can do. So we'd like to thank them for returning back and sponsoring. So folks, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Our next interview, we're going to be coming up here, turn around next year in just a couple of days, will be 2020. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be setting up our interviews. Coming up, we'll be through with Dahlonega John Boat, Aaron Bland, and Jason Brown. So, folks, this is your opportunity. If you got questions you'd like to ask them, it won't be long. We're going to be coming through and asking them questions, putting them in the hot seat as well. So, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We will see y'all back in the next year.